Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I want to do a little bit more of a discussion video, a little kind of uh, give my thoughts on something, and that is the recent changes that were made on the PTR to assault maps. Now, this is something I have not yet talked about on the channel. I will talk about it a little bit briefly in Overwatch Weekly on Wednesday, but this is going to be a video more in depth about this in particular. So if you have not seen that there are changes to the Assault game mode on the PTR, then now you know. And I'll tell you what the changes are. So there's two changes. The first is that time awarded for capturing point A on all Assault maps has been reduced from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. The second change is that upon losing point A, any defenders that are dead or that die shortly thereafter will have a maximum respawn of 3.5 seconds. The developer comments on these say that assault match lengths are average, higher than we're happy with, particularly in competitive where there are multiple rounds. We're also concerned with how often offense fully captures point A and point B. Reducing the round time from 8 to 7 minutes should address both these concerns, as less overall time rewards better defense. Additionally, sometimes defenders fight late with good intentions at point A and end up staggered from their team when A falls, leaving their team with uneven footing to defend a rush to B. In these situations, temporarily lowering the respawn time to get those defenders back with their team should be a better match experience and doesn't punish players so harshly for wanting to defend point A. Jeff Kaplan a little bit more into detail on these things in an interview he did with Stylosa. I'll have a link in the description to that interview, and I'm going to make sure to timestamp it when you click on the link. The full interview talks a lot more about the other things that are with this PTR patch. This is about a 4-minute, maybe 5-minute segment where they talk about specifically the assault changes, but Jeff Kaplan talked about the fact that they tried a bunch of different things to see if they felt that those things would work as well. They tried doing something where they added forward spawns for defenders. Specifically, he mentioned Volskaya Industries. They also tried doing something where it was similar to control mechanics, where you had to capture it and then you'd tick up some progress, and you had to hold it for a little bit before it would be captured, so it gave the defenders more time to kind of stop the attackers. Is a very interesting little bit of information that Jeff talked about, and of course you can hear Jeff's opinions on it or Stylos' opinions on it, whatever you want to hear, in the description if you click on that link. But I want to talk about my thoughts and how I feel about this, because I personally don't really have many issues with Assault. I don't think Assault is a game mode that I personally have a lot of problems with. Is it my favorite game mode? No, but it's not because I think it's bad. It's just because I really like Control. Control is my favorite game mode. I think Control is the most fun. I think it's the one that is the most unique because it's more about how can you play together as a team, winning these team fights, playing scrappy in a lot of ways, and there's a little bit more leeway in terms of strategy. Sometimes it can be something, where maybe you lose a player, but as long as you have the resources still available, you can turn a fight just by brawling it out, using the right abilities, at the right times, which that's true, of course, on all map types. You can win fights in kind of miracle ways if you use your abilities and resources correctly, but the way it plays out on Control is a lot more brawly. I think it comes down a lot more to how good are you at fighting against the other team in an even matchup, and there's a lot less terrain involved in fighting on a control point. So I think Control works really well, and I just really enjoy Control maps. Assault is probably my least favorite of the 4 game types, but I don't mind it. I don't have a problem with it. It is a little unforgiving though, and I think that these changes are very good um, at addressing that because they are addressing my two biggest problems and my two biggest things that I struggle with when I play on an assault map, and that is really long defense times and the stagger split issue if you try to attack a point right before or right after point A falls. It's a really big nuisance when you want to push, but you know that if you push and you die late, your team is going to be at a disadvantage going into the next fight. So you don't feel like pushing is the correct option or the best option. But then at the same time, you're just giving up and you're letting them tick up the clock for free and you're giving them an additional 4 minutes essentially for free. Um, so yes, you can set up on a defense, but you know, you still should try to fight that point out. You try to stall a little bit. The problem, of course, with that is you feed ultimate charge, and there's all that problem that you have to deal with there. But ultimately, I think these changes fix so much. And remember, assault maps, at least in quick play or outside of competitive, recently got changed from 5 minutes to 4 minutes. I say recently. It within the past year. I don't remember exactly when it was. I want to say it was earlier this year or late last year. But they reduced it from 5 minutes when you captured the point to 4 minutes, and now they're going from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. I think assault games were definitely the longest ones sometimes, and they could go to so many rounds because you just have a bunch of teams. And when you watch assault at a pro level, I think it's really entertaining because you see some really crazy matches on assault. You'll have something like one team just steamrolls point A, and by the time they get to point B, they struggle a little bit. Maybe they don't win on the first push they did on point A, but they win on their second, their third push, and they still have really good time in the time bank. But they lost some time, and then you can have a team that doesn't get to point A and doesn't capture it until overtime, and then they instantly just steamroll point B, and you have some very interesting fights like that where you have two teams that go about it and succeed in different ways. So I think watching Assault is very fun, but I feel like Assault is a drag sometimes, and it takes a very long time to get through Assault maps. I remember a comp game on Volskaya Industries that lasted like 25 minutes. Um, that was not a fun match. It was very long. It was very drawn out. We ended up losing the match too, which made it even worse. So that is the main issue with Assault, is how long it is. It is a very long game mode, and I like what they're doing here. You reduce the time after point A capture, so you only get an additional 3 minutes, which is still plenty of time, right? Because you start out with 4, so you have a minimum. If you capture point A, you have a minimum of 3 minutes to then capture B, which is still a very good amount of time, and that's plenty of time to capture a point. But if you rush quickly enough and you get there within a minute or less, you're sitting at 6.5 minutes. That's a very good amount of time to have to try to capture a point. And I think it's going to be a lot better for the game as a whole because there are times when you look and you see you have to hold point B for 7 minutes, and you're just like, I'm defeated at this point. Like, I don't think I want to hold this point for 7 minutes. And sometimes you do, and you're like, that was ridiculous, and I can't believe we held that for 7 minutes. But it's just such a daunting task because you can hold them for 3 minutes, and you're just like, wow, we're not even halfway through this. So I think that is really good. I also really think that the reduction of the spawn time right after point A is captured or when it's captured will do a lot to make the matches more competitive. And I think that will be helpful in keeping games from going to, 5, 6, rounds. I guess it's more like 6, 7, 6 rounds, something like that, because you run into the issues with like it's just so easy to steamroll teams um, in assault because if they get staggered and they have less people, then you just easily run through them and it's a whole disaster. And that is something that I've always been fighting with on assault maps is we just lost point A. I'm sitting here. I just respawned at point B. They're like, our last teammate just died. They have a just over a tick. Maybe they haven't even. Maybe they're just starting to tick up now, but no one is there yet. I'm the first one to respawn or the second one to respawn, whatever, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm going, it's not worth going back because we're not going to have the whole team. It's not going to take enough time, and we need to set up. And if anyone goes forward, we're going to lose. And then ultimately, of course, because it's Overwatch and people don't really understand how to play the game fully a lot of the time, someone goes forward and advances, someone gets taken out right after the point is captured or right before the point is captured. And then you have to sit through their respawn timer. 6 people come barreling down the choke, and you're sitting there, the 5 of you, if you're lucky, and they just steamroll you. So I think that this will make assault maps a lot better. I think it'll make assault games a lot better. I think it'll make them shorter but still more competitive. I think this is a really good change. Now, I'm curious to see if this is the change, if this change will pretty much do everything that needs to be done, and once this change goes through, we'll be looking at a world where assault maps are some of the fan favorites, because I don't think that'll be the case. I get the general feeling that hybrid and control are the 2 most popular. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just the general feel that I get. Hybrid maps are incredibly popular. King's Row is probably the most popular map in Overwatch. That's a hybrid map, and that's one that I think a lot of people are very, very, very fond of. And I think in general, hybrid is just kind of this really fun mode because you have the 2 different types of map, essentially. You have the assault that then moves into the escort. And in the same way, control, you have one, it's more unique than the others, but also in the same vein, you have different maps in each map. So it's not just fighting on one point. You have different strategies that you can tailor to different points on those maps. So assault doesn't really have that, and escort does and doesn't in some ways, but I just think assault was just drawn out. It was long. It took forever. You could easily just get steamrolled. You don't really get that in an escort map or a hybrid map because if your team starts to get run over, you just set up a little bit further back than maybe you would want to, but you get somewhere you can position yourself. Assault, you have one spot. It's not like the team has something, that they have to move to an objective. They're going to the objective. They are the objective. They're moving themselves to a point, and you can't move that point. Unlike escort, where the team has to sit at this one spot to move it along. So that helps those modes not suffer from all of the staggering and the problems that come with trying to defend a point where it's like, okay, we tried to defend, I tried to stagger, I held off a little bit of time, whatever, and now we know we're just going to group up at this spot, we're going to hold from this position, and now I've just taken off 10, 15 seconds, whatever, off the clock, and it doesn't feel like something that just lost this team, this match. So I really like these changes to Assault. I think it'll make Assault a lot better. I think it'll make Assault a lot more fun to play in every aspect. I think Assault will benefit greatly from these changes, but I would love to hear what you think about all these changes in the comments down below. But that is everything that I have for you. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to check out the interview that Stylosa did with Jeff Kaplan, you can find it in the description down below. I will link to it. It should be linked directly to that point in the video where they start talking about it, but if you want to check out the whole interview where they talk about all of the new things in the patch, hero changes, the replay system, any of that, that is, of course, also there for you in that interview. But I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. But until next time, I'm going to get out of here. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'm out.